So hello, we're here with Geraldine, who is a LAMP committee member from Mullockdon in West Romana. And Geraldine has how many grandchildren?
9.
9
To
grandchildren.
date, yes.
Wow. So you are, I guess, an expert granny.
I wouldn't say that, but
You've seen it all.
I've seen most of it anyway, yeah.
Yeah. And out of your 9, how many cesareans have you been through?
5.
Okay. 5 cesareans.
Mm-hmm.
And how many of those were emergencies?
2.
2. So can I ask you about what happened
Well,
with those?
the first section that my first daughter had, it was a planned section, so it went well for her. Then my second daughter had an emergency section, and it was very traumatic. Because she had left home in labour. I was thinking that everything would go to plan, and it wasn't until then her partner rang to say that it ended up in emergency section. And it was just the thought of what would have happened if she wasn't in a hospital close to us here in Fermanagh. Because if she had to have travelled for that emergency section, I probably wouldn't have had a grandchild, nor maybe even the mother, which is scary to think of. So it's just so important that we have our hospital here in Fermanagh, because we're a rural area. No other hospital is close to us. Everything is in distance, long distance to travel. And it just doesn't bear thinking about what could have happened, do you know? So, yeah.
And one more recently.
One recently, yeah. And that's the one that I'm talking about recently.
Yeah.
That just happened 9-10 weeks ago.
Yeah. So, what does it feel like to you to have no government and to have, well, first of all, to have no government during this crisis? And then, second question is, what do you feel about the civil servants making decisions and taking actions, because they're pretending that they're not making decisions, but they are making decisions and taking actions at this time?
I think it's wrong. We all voted to have a government, and we don't have a government. So I just feel our government isn't looking after us. They're just forgetting about the people that's voted them in. They wouldn't be there only for our votes. So I think it's important that they should see that the people are struggling, and that we do need help to keep our health services here in Fermanagh. And as for civil servants, I don't think they have the capability to do these things without a government in place.
When they take actions, do you think that they're considering all of the impacts of those actions?
I don't think so, no.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they are.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think about when they don't consider the impacts, what could happen?
Well, I think it's wrong for them to take these decisions without letting the people know what is happening. Like, we're sitting in the dark here, and we should be informed as to what's happening in our hospital, in our own area. And I just feel that that's not good enough, do you know? And that's why it's so important that we should have our government in place, that we have somebody to speak for us, because we can't do this. You know, we can protest and we can let people know how we're feeling, but they need to be in government to know what we're feeling. And to be able to help us.
Yeah, to be in control of the civil service.
Yeah.
So it seems like they made the decision to close the surgical ward, you know, last week, I think it was Friday, the staff were told that they're closing surgical ward last Friday, so they're collapsing emergency surgery. And in this week's press we see that they're thinking about trying to figure out what will happen, you know, talking to the Royal Colleges of Obstetricians and Gynecologists. They're now talking to the hospital in Sligo, and so they took an action, they took a decision, they took an action, and now that they've done that, they're trying to think, well, what are we going to do? Like, it's like doing something and then thinking, well, we've made a mess, how are we going to sort this out? Rather than having considered all of that first, you know, proper decision making, what you'd expect at proper decision making and impact assessment of all of the knock-on effects that come. And now, you know, nobody just knows, you know, anything, but we do know what we need. But we can sort of we've no confidence. I mean, do you feel with kind of confidence in the civil servants to make decisions and
No, definitely not. They can't, you know, I don't know how they can make a decision for us. We should be allowed to be heard, and we should be allowed to speak and let them know that this hospital in this area is important to us. And we're in a rural area and nothing's handy for us here.
How many hours from here to go to McElvin on a winter's day in the rain?
I'd say you're talking 2.5 hours maybe.
How many hours from here, you know, to alternatives?
None of them's handy.
No.
There's none of them handy.
Yeah, none of them accessible.
No. Because some people are living further away in Fermanagh than others are. You know?
So we have no government, we have civil servants making, you know, taking actions really in a very inappropriate way, making decisions in a very poor way. So we're having to call out for help. So what would you say to women's groups and organisations across Northern Ireland, across England, across, you know, right across to America, across the world, that we're going to appeal to? What would be your message to those women, to other women elsewhere?
I would ask all those groups to try and support us. We're in a very difficult situation here at the minute. If they can support us with letters, emails, whatever, because we are desperate and we need the help of the world at the minute, because we haven't got our government to help us.
Okay, Geraldine. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, thank you.